Tomorrow after dark. Now with even more people than before. Oh, really? Really? They're debating as to who's going to sit. So we're bringing both Tiff and Dave on set. Hang on, let me adjust.
Don't worry.
So After Dark is very not well produced.
I mean, you have me on it, so scary right there.
What do we need to do here? We need to do one of these.
So I guess maybe I'm too tall and I need to sit down.
I can stand.
Yeah, you can take my chair. I'll stand behind you. It'll be great. I'm shorter than you, barely. Oh, I'm way shorter than you. Holy crap, you are tall. Jesus, you're like 4 feet taller than me. All right, you sit. I'll stand behind, and then Dutta will adjust all the cameras.
Wait, aren't I the shortest?
Whatever. Hi, internet. Oh my gosh, it gets hot in here. Should we just turn on the? No, it really makes a lot of noise. So, all right, chat room.
I like how we don't have another chair.
Well, we never thought that we'd need to do this. So, chat room. Ready, go. Ask Dave your questions. Here you go. Chat room.
It doesn't mean he'll answer them, by the way.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You can ask as many.
You can ask, but you're not guaranteed a response. But this is your chance. You're live on the show. This is one of the opportunities of being watching live. You can ask the CTO of Maston Space Systems anything your heart desires. Ready, go. Chat room is go. Now the chat room is going to be like, "What's your favorite pizza?" What's your favorite color? No, yeah, and there was the best part is there's
Blue.
a 1 minute delay.
Blue.
Thanks, Badger.
No, red. Ah!
Thanks, Badger.
Thanks, Badger Legs.
That's hilarious.
No, hang on. I'm gonna do this.
What is your favorite rocket fuel? Currently leaning towards methane.
Anyone going to Mars seems to be liking methane recently.
Actually, for going to Mars, I want hydrogen.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Because isn't it really freaking hard to control, though? I mean, that is a small molecule.
Which happens to do wonderful things in rocket engines.
Sure, as long as you can contain it the entire trip.
Yeah, it's so actually that's not bad. That's not the hard part.
Oh, what's the hard part then?
The hard part is handling it on the ground here.
Oh, all right.
But I mean, you can. It's easy to get out of the. You can get it anywhere. It's more common than methane.
Well, yeah,
you can actually even get it out of methane if you need to.
Isn't methane extremely common on Mars, though?
No, methane is not. The methane, the cycle for Mars.
You can make
methane easily by getting hydrogen out of other substances, combining it with the CO2 in the atmosphere. So that you then have a carbon with the hydrogens for the methane and the oxygen out of the carbon dioxide.
So then why do you like methane right now?
So the reason I like methane is and this is actually Zephyr for the DARPA XS1 program, is methane.
Okay.
It is denser than hydrogen, easier to handle than hydrogen, because its boiling temperature is 112 Kelvin, and the boiling temperature of oxygen is 90 Kelvin. So basically, 20 Kelvin, give or take a couple Kelvin, is the difference. You can use a true common bulkhead tank. You can actually have the propellants next to each other, and they won't
interfere with each other.
They won't. One won't freeze the other.
So it makes your structures easier.
So just suddenly, structures are suddenly a lot easier. You can self-pressurize with both propellants then. So you don't need to carry additional helium, which is extremely expensive right now.
Yes, it is.
So there you go. That's also, you can use methane, like hydrogen. Methane can be used to do an expander cycle for the rocket engine.
I don't understand.
So an expander cycle is when you basically take your liquid, you flow it through the engine, it picks up a bunch of heat. And then you use that heat in a turbine, expanding through the turbine, to run your turbo pump.
Ah, clever.
And that is actually a lower temperature way of dealing with the turbine. So the turbine is now more reusable. You don't have to deal with the fact that you're trying to keep the turbine elements from, the turbine elements have to handle the combustion products of your propellants, because you just have the one instead of the combustion products. So yeah, it's wonderful. beautiful, beautiful.
All right, what was the next question? Carrie Ann, have you been monitoring the room?
Yeah, a little bit.
What's the next question?
Somebody wanted to know.
Yes, we are in After Dark.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody wanted to know what any plans after DARPA.
After DARPA, yes. Let's see.
I'm afraid someone like in a ninja suit's going to drop down and be like, "You can't talk about that."
I said that. I was like, look, I'll ask, but I don't know if he can actually say anything about it. So.
So one thing I can say is that DARPA made it very clear in the industry day and in the broad area announcements and in all of their materials is they must have a civil commercial application for the vehicle when we are done with the program. So it is mostly going to be just that. We're looking at doing the the larger end of the small sat, the smaller end of the medium sat, which is the 3,000 to 5,000 pounds. It's a little bit. It's about the same size as a Minotaur launch vehicle by Orbital, or a bare bones, nothing else added to it. Delta II is about that same size. So yeah, we're bit smaller than a Falcon 9, bit smaller than the Atlas V. Actually, quite a bit smaller than those vehicles. But we're also not talking about a CubeSat launcher or a nanosat launcher,
right.
Like some of the other stuff. So it's right in there. There's we've been talking to some satellite providers and satellite operators, and so yeah. Would you like to work with Google on the Skybox satellite network? I would love to launch them. I'll launch every single one of them. I would love that.
Can you today?
Well, I mean, we don't have a launch vehicle right now, right? So, but as we work with DARPA, then I think afterwards we'll have something that we can use as a launch vehicle.
But isn't that only it's the first stage, right? You're still missing a second stage.
So yeah, we're still missing the second stage. So that's obviously we're gonna have to look for additional money, and we have to develop an upper stage, or maybe we're really close with that DARPA vehicle to having a single stage to orbit vehicle. So the follow-on might be some investment and get a single stage to orbit, say 1,000 to 2,000 pounds.
Could you do single stage to orbit with humans?
Maybe.
Like 1 or 2? Because if you can do 1,000 or 2,000 pounds single stage to
So,
orbit.
yeah, 2,000 pounds. I think you might be able to get 2 or 3 or 4 people to orbit. Yeah.
We still need life support at that. Well, or do you already have?
So I mean, part of that's a person. I weigh 200 pounds. Typical. The average weight for a person, according to the FAA, is 150 or 160 pounds, somewhere in there, something like that.
Not of an American.
Average.
Yeah,
Average.
So wait. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right? Because you could have a highly reusable, potentially human transportable single stage to orbit vehicle.
Yes, we could. We would do a
once a
reusable
day,
SSTO. Yeah, exactly.
That would be kick-ass. That's a technical term.
So the difficult thing with single stage to orbit and launching each day is the fact that we got to get the vehicle back. And orbital mechanics and the fact that the Earth likes to rotate about 15 degrees every hour.
Yeah, but consider the idea of it becoming a space airliner potentially, right? So you need to get from New York to London, or New York to Tokyo, or wherever it is. You have multiple vehicles. It drops in Tokyo, then your next flight the next day goes from Tokyo back around, and then they're all.
Suborbital point to point. Yeah, we could do that all day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but so you could do that. That's one application. So you could really, really radically change space flight. But then you don't have to come back necessarily same day. If you're orbital, you could get to station ? Or could you get to a Bigelow station?
Yeah, we could get to a Bigelow station.
So you just need more than one vehicle.
Lots of vehicles, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm happy with building lots of them.
All right.
But that's making some assumptions about the market that I'm not willing to make yet.
I am personally committing you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's after dark. You can tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, but
figured I'd be clear.
yeah, I'm executive at a company
That has your name on it.
It has my name on it. So
That's just a coincidence.
So maybe
I actually don't even know who that dude is.
maybe I shouldn't be saying fuck off.
I suppose.
Maybe.
So keep going in the chat room. Although we do need to talk about Tiff's bionic back as well.
What's the advantage of methane
I'm sure there's
over
a
RP?
story behind the bears.
Okay, so let me quick advantage of methane over RP1 or LH2. RP1, you cannot use it in an expander cycle. You have to use it either gas generator, which is what SpaceX does, or you have to use it in a staged combustion, which is what the RD-180, the Atlas V main engine, does. And those are both really, really tough to do for reusability. Disadvantages for usability for RP1 include the fact that it likes to create lots of soot and coking. So basically you get carbon coating everything, including the cooling channels. Makes it difficult after a certain period of burn time. You're talking about a, basically in order to combust the RP1, you need a certain amount of oxidizer. And so the combustion ratio creates a certain temperature, which is really, really hot, and the metals in the turbine don't like to be that hot, and you end up, during startup, getting some serious stresses going from the outer surface to the inner surface of the turbine blades, which causes turbine blades to crack. Or at least this is what I was told by several turbopump vendors who told me they refused to develop something that met my reusability requirements using RP1. Liquid hydrogen is just a pain in the tuchus to handle. The handling difficulties are really terrible. Not to mention the fact that nothing actually technically holds it. You just keep it to a very slow leak, even through the walls of the tanks. And you actually have a problem called hydrogen embrittlement of tanks, which is basically the hydrogen atom is small enough that it gets in between and basically goes through the grains of a metal, and gets in there, and it causes cracks. As it gets in there, so yeah, and embrittles the tank. So then the tank is no longer reusable because after a few times of holding hydrogen, it starts cracking and leaking even faster. So so there are issues. That said, I think liquid hydrogen is the only way to go when you get away from the Earth. You're talking about being on the moon or going to Mars. You need hydrogen, or better yet, convert hydrogen to heavier substances. That works too.
Convert hydrogen to heavier substances, like a hydrogen gel?
Like hydrogen into helium, or hydrogen into carbons and oxygens, and fusion. If we can ever get it,
that, so that's realistic right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I am minor low problem.
Traditional Reddit question: would you rather fight 100 duck-sized rockets or one rocket-sized duck?
100 duck-sized rockets?
Mm-hmm. So very tiny rockets.
You're fighting them?
Or, that's what it says, fight. F-I-G-H-T. So there are some English words I can speak.
I feel like with the duck, it would be you could outmaneuver it.
So that's a tough one because
this depends on the rocket.
Yeah, but they can all launch at you.
Well, the idea is can I get to a position where Ursa here is duck size, roughly.
Sure.
Can I get into a position where, in fact, only one duck can get to me at a time.
Yes.
If I can do that, then I would rather go that way and deal with 100 of them.
Yeah, but what if you have to deal with 100 of them concurrently?
If I have to deal with 100 of them concurrently, I'd rather go with the larger one, because then I only have to deal with one.
As someone says in the chat room, that would be one mother ducker.
Yes, Dave, yes. Dave, who do you think will bring a human to Mars first, NASA, SpaceX, or someone else? Someone else.
Jim Nobles asks, is that Centaur ever going to make it to the moon?
That Centaur.
You
No,
say,
that Centaur. So we actually have 2 Centaurs now. And neither one of them will ever make it more than a few feet off the Earth.
All right. Okay. Coco Fan asks.
However, other Centaurs will hopefully go
Much further.
much further. So yeah, we have 2 Centaurs. The reason we have 2 Centaurs is they cannot be used as actual launch vehicles because the one was damaged in production. So it had to be scrapped, and by scrapped they just took it out to their parking lot and then eventually gave it to us. And then the second one that we have is actually the very first one off their new production facility in Decatur. So that one is not allowed to be used because it was the first one off the production line.
Right.
And the Air Force doesn't want it. If the Air Force doesn't want it, they have nothing else to do with it, so they gave it to us. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Coco Fan asks, favorite project with absolutely no context whatsoever. So.
Favorite project?
Yeah. I like Manhattan. Just kidding. Kidding.
Actually, yeah, I have mixed feelings about that one. For a lot of reasons. Yeah, DARPA XS1 is probably my current favorite. Although honestly, we're doing stuff with going to the moon right now that's really exciting as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a tough one. But I'm actually committed. 75% of my time by contract has to go to DARPA XS1. 30% of my time has to go to Lunar Catalyst. I hope you're adding this up in your head as we're going along. Yeah. So well, fortunately, when we say a certain amount percent of the time, that has to be that's an FTE, a full-time employee, full-time equivalent person. So
which is only 40 hours a week.
Yeah. Who in aerospace only works 40 hours a week?
Who in new space only works 40 hours a week?
Who in new space
No
only, you're
joke.
Right, you're totally right.
And yet, you know, and despite that, I still work a heck of a lot less than most SpaceX people. So, hint, SpaceX people may be thinking about it.
Ouch. Ouch.
Someone's recruiting.
We have some job openings.
What are your job openings for?
We have job openings. We currently have a design engineer, primarily for structures, and we have a propulsion engineer.
Gee, I wonder why. So, you know, if you have any experience in building vehicles that go faster than, say, Mach 9.
Actually, no. I think we've got that covered.
Really?
We got the We need somebody who can do structural analysis and do design of structures. You know, someone who's familiar with how to design, I don't know, perhaps nose cones, wing boxes, maybe. That kind of thing. Fing boxes. Yeah, fing boxes. There we go. Fing boxes.
What is it? It's a wing. It's not a wing, and it's not a fin. It's a fin.
It's too large to be a fin anymore, but we don't build wings.
Got it. So it's a fin.
So it's a fing. Let's see. I just thought I saw a question about T-Tab hypergolic slug. No, every single one of our rocket engines, which are all liquid fueled, by the way, are started with a spark igniter. The spark comes from a spark plug, the same as internal combustion engines, like in your car. In fact, actually, ours come from a two-stroke engine, primarily used in two-stroke engines for weed whackers. So little tiny engines. We have a little tiny spark plug. Those light all of our engines. Yeah.
All the time? Do they always work?
Once in a great while, we'll have a non-start with one igniter, but we use redundant igniters. So we've never had. we've been more than willing and have done air starting of engines. So yeah, Badger Leg, can I air start our engines? Yes, we can, and we have demonstrated that, and you can find that on YouTube with Zombie.
Nice.
We stopped and started. So yeah, so there you go. Timeline, I'm assuming that's supposed to be on, not or. It's going to the moon project I mentioned. We have a timeline. I think you'll end up getting to see that when we finally get everything ironed out and the Space Act agreements signed for Lunar Catalyst. Several years.
I think everyone's eager to go. I think we just want to go back to the moon, go to Mars. We just want to go somewhere.
Yes.
With humans,
yes.
right? We are all eager. We want someone to take us there.
We want to go.
We want to go, and like our governments are failing us here. So we're looking to anyone who can bring us. Dave.
Ziegler asks, even with your pilot's license, will you still drive out to Mojave just for the cargo capacity of big trucks?
Huh?
Literally, those are the words that were typed in front of me.
Even with your pilot's license, will you still drive out to Mojave just for the cargo capacity of big trucks?
Well, it's a yes or no question, so you got a 50-50 shot of answering this right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm afraid I don't actually understand the question, and I'm just going to have to say I don't understand the question. I mean, yeah, I have my pilot's license, but, I haven't had my medical updated in like 10 years now. Yeah, I still drive to Mojave on a regular basis. Maybe, when we, if Mason Space Systems goes public or we get bought out and I'm, so rich that it's pathetic, I'll buy a small business jet and, go back and forth between Mojave and maybe get a house up in Bishop because I really like being up in the mountains.
I don't think I've ever heard you speak of taking Maston Space public before.
Somehow I've got to make money off Maston Space Systems at some point. The real goal is to have somebody buy us out. That's the usual. But yeah, if at some point we have to go public, we'll go public.
Zigger's clarifying ever so slightly.
I'm just wondering if I can fly, but I have to bring this prototype out there, so it's the truck for me.
Oh, that makes sense. You can't bring. Can I check Zombie? It might be over the 50-pound limit or over the max bag size.
Yeah, there's a slight weight and balance issue. There's trucks, definitely still have to have trucks.
Vlad asks, do you plan on any team projects with SpaceX? I responded already in the chat room saying, how can one plan on something that has not yet been offered?
So far, I would love to. Elon, if you're listening, I know that Gwen is not because she's talking right now.
Elon doesn't watch this.
Although, in the chat room, they said that she looks bored to death and has not said a single word.
Someone tweet to Elon to watch this show right now.
No. He is on a packing trip. He's on a backpacking trip with his kids.
I meant to say Gwen.
And Gwen is on stage, apparently bored.
on stage at...
Whatever.
At New Space, yeah.
Oh, she just needs some earbuds and an iPhone. She's set.
So if anybody happens to be watching us but is actually at New Space Conference, if you run into Gwen, let her know. Call me. I'm here.
That's funny.
I would call her, but I don't have her number actually, so.
I don't either. Let's see. You answered that one. You answered that one. You answered that one.
So is this just way behind?
No, I'm behind. You're live. So you're at the bottom. Yeah. I'm scrolling back down.
Yeah, okay.
How bad is the problem with space debris?
Space debris. Woo! I just saw something. I have not had a chance to really read deeper into the article or figure out the veracity of the article. Mm-hmm. But I think somebody just figured out that we should be, on averaging, having a major satellite on satellite collision every 5 to 9 years currently.
Wow.
And that's going to create. It's going to create a. That's going to speed it up, right? Because the satellites create debris, like more debris.
Yeah.
Which then create more rapid satellites.
So the good thing is that the debris of satellite collisions has a very high drag. So it tends to actually fall out of the sky a little bit quicker than what we had feared.
What is that, like a couple of years? Or is
it depends on the exact orbit, but
rough. I mean, you know.
So I mean, basically, what we had was the Chinese ASAT test a few years ago, and we were all really worried about that debris. It turns out most of that debris cleared out a little bit quicker than we expected. We also then recently had the one ComSat hit by the old Russian thing. That again, the debris actually cleared itself out quicker than we expected. You know, basically high drag, so re-entered it, came to a much lower orbit, then re-entered and burned up. So I mean, it's still bad. It's still going to be a debris cloud, but it may be better than we had feared.
That's good news, actually. That's really
so
good news.
It's some good news. So yeah, so even with the debris cloud, they expect maybe one every 5 to 9 years. Again, I haven't actually read. I saw the news article. I haven't actually gone and dug through and gone back and said, hey, you know, is there any truth to this, or is this somebody really just doing some really bad science? So yeah.
Yeah. Mini Elon asks, how does your vehicle design differ than the Delta Clipper?
We use methane, not hydrogen.
Oh, see, there you go.
There's one difference. Actually, our outer mold line is a little bit different. We actually are basing our outer mold line. It looks more traditional, rocket shaped. The cylinder, rather Delta Clipper went with the cone was much longer and then had a wide, short cylindrical section. We're more rocket-like with the. I mean, it's definitely not as tall and skinny as you expect with an Atlas V or a Falcon 9. Much squatter and thicker, but it's still more rocket-like, more traditional rocket-like.
I don't know if you actually covered this one or not, but is the hydrogen embrittlement a problem with carbon fiber composite tanks?
Yes, actually it is, I think, except that nobody's gotten carbon fiber to be reusable to last long enough with liquid hydrogen to actually find out if that's really a problem or not.
Gotcha.
Carbon composites and cryogens just have not been demonstrated yet. There are tons of problems, mostly with the matrix materials, but yeah, the matrix, the carbon, composites in general have just been really problematic with extremes of temperature on both ends of the scale. So,
nice.
What's the deal with the bears?
What is the deal with the bears? These bears go everywhere on weekend trips with Tiff and I.
Yeah.
This bear has been with us on the John Muir Trail, on the High Sierra Trail, has been to the top of a number of large mountains here in California, and has spent weeks in the hospital with Tiff. This bear is our crazy Canadian, was given to us by a friend of ours. He was also Canadian, by the way.
Also crazy?
Yes.
Also crazy, yes. And just the fact that he's got the constant smile, so he just always makes us smile, and so we just take him with us everywhere, and so that's the deal. And these are the only children that Tiff and I will ever have.
Unless we get a husky.
Although
husky.
we're having discussions about the ownership of
a miniature
about
husky.
A dog.
Miniature husky. They are adorable. They are adorable. They're adorable.
A full-size one.
A full-size one's cool too, but the miniature ones are adorable.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I don't want it full-size anything. But if we have to have something, then Yeah.
So funny.
You had mentioned in the show.
What's your favorite space event and why is it Space Up?
Ask Chris Radcliffe.
And that is Chris Radcliffe.
That's an awesome question, Chris.
Well, let's see here. Didn't we sort of our second meeting time? You flirted with me at Space Up DC.
Yeah, so yeah.
Me too. I flirted with Space Up in DC too. Yeah.
Yeah, totally flirted with
I didn't flirt with anybody at Space Up DC.
with someone at Space Up DC, and now she's with me forever and ever. So excellent. Yeah, that's why.
BZ Wing Zero asks, will you donate an old retired launch vehicle to Carrie Ann for use as a coffee table, as the SSMEs are a bit hard to come by?
So the
Well,
one
we can go sea diving for him soon,
Oh yeah.
right?
No, because they'll never launch.
Not even once. You don't think SLS will launch even once?
I don't think it will launch even once.
$1 bet right now, Dave.
Okay, there you go.
I say $1. We're marking this, and hopefully they can hear me. I say SLS will launch at least one. I think it'll only launch once, but I say it'll launch at least one time.
Define launch.
That's
As
a good
in
point.
clearing the tower?
No, I think the fundamental disagreement with us isn't the technology; it's the politics and the.
You are
means to
saying
complete the project.
that the clock will reach a positive number,
I am saying
and the
that.
engines will, and they will attempt to light the engines.
Yes. I'm saying that they will attempt to light the engines on the pad. Now, what happens after that, whether the reaction is controlled or uncontrolled after that I'm not claiming. I'm not claiming success. I'm claiming that the clock will hit 0.
I will take that bet.
All right.
I will not make it.
$1 bet.
Chris is in.
They won't do it on time.
Chris Radcliffe is also on that bet, and he's on my side. He will also bet $1 that.
No, it's just you and I. Otherwise,
Yeah, we're not gonna get into everybody.
want me
He's
entire-
gonna be broke.
No.
He's gonna be broke real fast.
I think they are so far along in the process, and I think there's so much political stuff at stake right now that they're going to, at the very least, they'll Ares 1X this thing. We'll see.
Good luck.
But
Good luck.
We got a whole $1 on this. I'm sorry.
does an Ares 1X launch count as SLS?
That would have to be, I think, settled by the community. But
It would have to be a vehicle capable of carrying 70 tons. The first launch is planned to use an upper stage from a Delta 4, so it'll be a DCSS stage. So it'll be a stack with solid boosters, hydrogen oxygen core tank.
But we're not placing a
5.
timeline on it. So one of two things will happen. Either the program is canceled, at which point you win, whether they regurgitated Constellation into...
Yeah.
Right, that doesn't count. You would win.
I would win as soon as it's canceled.
As soon as it's canceled, you win. No matter what they do after it, that the program's canceled, you win. Or they bring the vehicle to the pad and they bring that countdown to 0. Now, whether or not it launches is irrelevant. Like whether it gets off the pad.
We are betting on the intent of the program managers.
Yes, exactly right. So we're not saying success, and we're also not saying that it will happen on time.
Right.
We're just saying that there will be an attempt to light those engines.
I'm saying it will be canceled before program management gets.
Here, all right. So there you go. Now,
gets to launch.
I did want to talk about. You mentioned the bionic back.
Yes, I did mention the bionic
Bionic
back.
back, and I said we'd mention it in After Dark. So you should describe what the F is the bionic back, and how did that all happen?
So the bionic back, just in case everybody knows, Tiff and I have been with each other for a number of years now. Going back to shortly after a Space Up in DC.
Somehow only I get injured.
Somehow so our first date, we ended up in a car accident and she broke her collarbone. Neither of us was driving, by the way.
Autonomous car? No, I'm just kidding.
Don't I wish?
But I must say, of like all 3 cars involved and the speed of the collision, it was lucky that the only injury was a broken collarbone to anyone.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I suspect the other 2 occupants of the car that we were in, including myself, probably had concussions.
Probably.
But anyway, yeah. So fast forward a couple of years, we were out skiing, and Tiff had an accident that broke her back.
Badly.
Badly, yeah.
Is there ever actually in your back?
Is there anything but? So yes. So basically, it was a crushed vertebrae. The remains of the crushed vertebrae pushed into her spinal column, into the nerve.
Ow.
Yeah.
Which caused it so she could not walk for a long time. We were concerned that she would not ever walk.
I guess I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was bad.
So, well, I mean,
how was it not?
Yeah,
the good thing is we had a really good surgeon. We actually had one of the great, one of the good surgeons. Jesus took the wheel. Sorry. Yeah, that was a really bad joke.
That is a fragment that's over halfway in it.
Can we show that on the show?
Yeah.
Can you email that to me?
Yeah, I was gonna say I can totally email it to you.
Oh, so yeah, they're discussing how to.
We're gonna put this on the air. We're gonna show you what
We're going to show you
But I have to
the.
steal this.
Go ahead and steal that.
Is it Ben Credible?
Benjamin,
Oh, here. Go ahead.
move.
Do whatever you need to do.
Oh, here, this
And
one.
then if you want, I also have pictures of post-surgery if you want fun.
Actual size. All right, go ahead and send those. Just you have me
Okay.
at
Yeah.
Space Big Cash should work just fine. And I will. This will take a minute, community. So you keep telling your story.
Keep talking.
There is no good way to break your back. Yada yada. Going back to non-broken back things, Firefly's proposed methane LOX aerospike will happen. Yes, but I'm not sure that it will be an aerospike by the time they're done.
Oh, what does that mean?
Yeah, are we all familiar with what an aerospike engine is?
We did mention it on the show, but if you want to do a really quick recap.
So aerospike engine, it's turn the nozzle inside out, if you can imagine that. So basically it creates a spike. And then the aero part of aerospike is that you then truncate that spike so that it has a flat bottom. And so basically you flow the combustion products down, and they expand against the spike to create your thrust. And it's not just theoretical. They've actually tested a few, and you actually get what's known as a altitude compensation. It's basically ideal expansion at any altitude, any atmospheric pressure, which does wonderful things for your thrust as you're going up through the atmosphere.
Well, to pause you, the reason you want this, right, is you kind of want the bottom part of the engine, essentially, to expand as you get up, and there isn't really material that does that really well.
Right.
So what this is doing is you're essentially using air, as I understand.
Yes.
The air, the column of air as you're getting up higher is actually expanding out with the altitude.
Jim Noble says, let the atmospheric pressure define the shape of the bell.
Yes,
exactly. A good way of putting it. Yeah. And therefore, yeah. So, now the reason why I say that I don't think that it'll work is, first of all, LOX and methane are actually they are the hottest of the commonly discussed propellants for boosters. They combust much hotter than even LOX hydrogen. So we're looking at. So, for example, on the Maston Scimitar engines that we use for our current vehicles, combustion temperatures are around 2,900 Kelvin. The combustion temperature for the shuttle is somewhere in the 3,400 Kelvin range. LOX methane, the current LOX methane engines that I'm working with, is close to 3,600 Kelvin, a little bit warmer. That's really, really hot, and that makes for some difficulties. So the biggest problem is going to be cooling the spike. There just are not that many materials. Even refractory metals. There are refractory metals that will deal well at 3,000 Kelvin, no problem. But even tungsten, which is probably one of the better, the refractory metals, melts at like 3,500. So, but yes, nice thrust. Yes, yeah.
All right, we have the image. Here you go. This is what she did to her back. What are we looking at, though? Can you? Hey,
You'll have
Donna,
to.
can you put it in the? Yeah, there you go. The it's media. Here, I'll put it in there for you. Media player 2.
I'm not cool.
Martian habitats. Woo!
There you go.
Hey, there's my back.
There you go.
So this was the pre-surgery CT scan. Basically, spinal or vertebrae right there. Spinal column runs in this area. As you can see, there's a nice chunk of my vertebrae in the spinal
Chunk
cord.
of bone, spinal cord.
Yeah.
Not good.
Basically, I shouldn't be walking right now, but I am.
All right, so here's one of the next pictures you sent me.
So this is an X-ray, and as you can see, that's my L1 that died, and it's not very pretty. Yeah.
So you can also see it here too. This is the spinal column, right? The
So you can
spinal
tell
cord
that
should
it's
go right through
in
here.
the spinal cord.
All right, so here's the next picture.
Oops. Yeah, it's a fun little. So.
Ew.
Good job.
Ew.
So first surgery went in from the side. I had a drain in, and then the second one was directly on
the spine.
The spine.
Ah.
Yeah. Always a good time.
Here's the next one.
That's my back now. They put the first surgery. They put one set of screw and rod in.
It's a
and
Borg
then,
cube.
Pretty much, yeah. And a prosthetic vertebrae in to kind of let the pieces that were still in there grow around it. And then
It turns out this piece, 3D machined.
Oh,
Nice.
that's cool.
Aerospace
awesome.
is behind the curve.
Yeah.
Isn't it behind the curve now? Hasn't it been behind the
Like
curve
always?
since like the start of the shuttle program, essentially?
They've been behind the curve very much a lot. So actually, Apollo was specifically set up to be behind the curve.
So we've had this discussion before, but Gemini was not.
Gemini was the program where they did not have things where when Apollo didn't have something tried and true to use, Gemini was used to test it out.
So Gemini was kind of the cool, the bleeding edge technology program.
Gemini was
And then-
bleeding edge.
and then
Yes,
Apollo took a step
Apollo
back.
took a step back. Yes, exactly.
It's sad that Gemini, everyone knows Apollo, but not everyone knows Gemini.
Gemini was by far the better program for so many reasons.
There was a plan to get Gemini on the moon too. Like,
Gemini was ready to go. They could have had Neil and Buzz not returned to Earth or not even gone up. Gemini would have flown and would have barely planted a flag on the moon.
barely.
It was they were gonna cut it close and in terms of having the mass and performance and everything. But yeah, Gemini could have done it. Much smaller rocket, much cheaper. I mean, Gemini was a very small fraction of the price of Apollo. And
Did we
lot
cover
of
the whole bionic back? I mean, there were more pictures.
I just
are there
I
more
sent-
pictures?
I sent a couple of tribute pictures from
Hang on, let me,
post-surgery CT scans.
So there's the.
Oh yeah, let's look at the post.
Yeah, the trippy screws as you like.
Oh, yeah,
I have
yeah,
the
yeah.
movie and like, it's kind of cool seeing like the screws as like you just watch the CT scan go down like the spine.
And then there's this one.
And then there's the ring. It looks like a ring. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it does.
Wow. And so that's
Yeah.
where the bionic back comes from, and that's
That's crazy.
where does the rocket pack attach to exactly?
We're not giving out those details. ITAR, International
ITAR.
Traffic in Arms.
ITAR.
Yeah,
Alright,
that's
cool.
crazy, man.
Other questions? From the chat room? Are
No.
they done?
No, it is not a HIPAA violation. No one involved is a medical professional, and the patient can share anything they want about their condition.
And it's all over my blog.
Yeah.
That is true. That is, the doctors cannot share her information with non-medical professionals or the government. They can, yeah, or no. They must share with the government under HIPAA and cannot share it with other non-medical folks.
But you can share your own medical information.
But you can share your own medical information with anybody you want.
Actually, Shaky Mon mentioned that they called it Gemini in Houston during the 60s, which I always thought was weird that they don't call it Gemini. They call it
Gemini.
Gemini, yeah, the Gemini program. That's the first time I've ever heard Gemini pronounced Gemini.
Yeah. Well, and you guys said we're saying Gemini, and I had also, you go back and you always hear the old guys say Gemini, and so I just asked in the chat room. I was like, Gemini, and it came back with like I. Like everyone has a completely different opinion.
So I think that goes back to depends on what regional dialect you are used to speaking.
Probably.
The correct one or incorrect?
Well, it's like pecan.
So,
and
well, that becomes a hard thing to deal with. And if you're in Houston, you probably did pronounce Gemini, and I would expect that, based on other portions of the southern drawl. And that's the way it is. And actually, the southern drawl is one of the easiest things for non-southerner. Is one of the easiest dialects to pick up on as an adult. So if you move to the south, you will pick up a southern drawl.
Little bit of a southern drawl.
But if you are from the south or the Midwest and you move to the northeast, you will never pick up the Boston.
Boston.
I lost my khakis.
Yeah, you will never actually pick that up. So weird trivia there.
Interesting.
It comes about because I have family who lives in Virginia. My brother's in-laws are actually from Massachusetts, and currently live in Virginia. My brother and I grew up in the Midwest, and now, the family's in Virginia.
Midwest.
So yeah.
We have a question I can answer. Yay! Favorite place to go hiking? Technically, the answer is anywhere in the Sierra, but anywhere in the
Mars. I think I have.
You don't know if it's a favorite yet.
Okay, we haven't been there yet.
It could be crap.
So technically, the answer,
Olympus Mons.
Okay, Olympus Mons, yes, but we haven't been there yet.
We haven't been there yet. Yes. No.
Answer the question. Evolution Valley. Simple.
See?
Favorite spot or
Olympus
Precipice
Mons.
Lake, but I mean, I love anywhere in the sea. I just love the fact that I'm hiking again. I'll just throw it out there.
Right? Yeah. The only other people who are working on a reusable single stage to orbit program that I know of are the people from Reaction Engines. Are there any others? And what do you think about their approach?
Reaction Engines.
It's the Sabre, the Sabre engine.
Yeah. What's the vehicle?
Or is it the Sabre vehicle and
the? Sabre engine, I think.
It's like
the UK
Skylon,
group, right? Skylon. I think they're too big and too expensive, therefore will not ever occur.
Badger legs, not yet.
And I don't know about anybody else who's doing single stage to orbit right now, per se. I mean, technically, we're not even doing single stage to orbit. We're just really, really close.
Favorite beach? Any alpine beach in the Sierra. I prefer Sapphire Lake or Precipice Lake.
Does single stage to orbit scale?
Don't see why not. But scale to what?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, is there an upper limit? Where it's just,
well, I mean, there's going to be an upper limit. I mean, there's you get some environmental considerations. I mean, even this is one of the reasons why I think they may not ever launch SLS is 5 shuttle main engines may be too much noise. May have some serious environmental problems with that.
Even with sound suppression?
I don't know. Right? How much sound suppression can you actually get? I don't know. Yeah, those are engineering questions, right? And I'm not doing that engineering, so I don't know. But there's some issues there that have to be resolved. I don't know how feasible the resolution is. At some point, there is going to be a problem where you just cannot make it work. Things get too large and you start going, basically the larger and larger you go, the easier it is to get to a certain performance level and mass fraction. On the other hand, there's a tipping point where, larger and larger, and you can't support, the structure can't support itself anymore. So then you need more and more structure, and eventually, I mean, there is a limit even to the size of a solid piece of iron that you can have, because it will just sink into the earth or just form itself into a round ball at old bigness.
So a very large piece of iron, though.
No, Dave. It's going to be launched even if it crashes the site. Well, that could be. Skylon rhymes with Cylon. Did I pronounce it some other way?
No,
Okay.
You're fine. 5 SSMEs is less than 5 F1.
Badger legs. That was my funnest hike, most below the tree line, except right at the top. Mount. Baldy Mount.
Go up, yeah.
Talking about Baden-Powell?
Yeah.
Okay. 5 SSME is less than 5 F1. Yeah, but it's also a different propellant, so there's different issues. If they remove the tower structure, I don't know. Oh, it's only 4 SSMEs. Okay. Could something like Pegasus XL be scaled up to carry people to orbit? I don't know what Pegasus XL is using for rocket engines presently, but the original Pegasus, and this is something that Orbital really built their business on, was using discarded solid rocket engines from missile programs. Was what they built all their rockets on. So scaling is going to be difficult because I don't think there is a solid rocket that would be scaled up from there that's available, and that isn't being used strictly by NASA. Will the Stratolaunch fly? Maybe. I don't know. I do not know when they'll figure out that having an airplane is a very expensive proposition.
I'm wondering if there's another dollar bet coming, but I actually don't know if it'll fly either.
Yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what.
What's it with Bird Rutan ripping airplanes in half and sticking things in the middle?
It works for him.
Right.
You know,
this will be the third time he's done it.
Yeah, and one of those 3 times has actually been successful.
Yes, one of them has.
One of the 3 ain't
it's
bad.
better than most of us. So I gotta say, I gotta admit, you know, he's made it to space. I've just landed successfully a few hundred times. Slight difference there.
When do you think you'll go to space?
Need a Patreon project to cover the bets.
Yes. Yes.
I think late this year, early next year, we're going to go supersonic. I will say that.
Let me reword that. When do you think Dave Maston will break the 100-kilometer barrier?
2019.
2019. On one of yours or someone else's?
One of mine.
Actually, technically speaking, Virgin doesn't break the barrier, do they? They don't technically break into space.
So
they come close. You experience 0G, but you don't actually make it all the way up over on the Mark 1.
So I don't know. I've seen news reports saying that they're not going to break 100 kilometers with Spaceship Two, but I know when they started the program, they were fully intending on breaking 100 kilometers.
Well,
now their contracts do not require them to break 100 kilometers.
Ah, interesting.
Is how I understand the tickets say that you go on a ride on Spaceship Two. They don't say what altitude you'll reach or how long or.
I mean, it is an arbitrary line when you think about it, right? Because you will see the curvature of the Earth.
So the von Karman line is not strictly arbitrary.
All right.
It is a theoretical line that says that at that line, no matter how good your lift is, your lift to drag ratio, you will not be able to actually fly.
So you must propel at that point.
You must propel at that point.
But, all right.
There's insufficient lift to hold you up at that altitude.
Right.
I guess the fundamental meaning behind what I was saying is that when you're trying to go on a tourist trip to space, breaking that line versus still experiencing zero G, still seeing the curvature of the Earth, the difference between the two experiences would be next to nothing.
You're really not going to notice if you only go to 80 kilometers versus 100 kilometers. You're not.
So from that standpoint, it's an arbitrary line. From an engineering standpoint, maybe not. But
I'm just saying the von Karman line is not itself an arbitrary line.
Right.
But, choosing the von Karman line is somewhat arbitrary.
From an experience standpoint, yeah.
However, the international community says you don't get astronaut wings until you cross that line.
So that was.
But the Air Force gives out their wings at 50 miles altitude.
Which is how many kilometers? I can't do that.
The ratio is 0.62, so 50 divided by 0.62 is something, I don't know.
I know, calculator, who's fastest? Ready, go.
So,
I turned my camera on faster.
80?
Yeah, so 81 kilometers.
Give or take.
Yeah.
80.645.
There you go. So yeah, we just proved that Dave Masson cannot do math in his head.
It's okay.
Breaking news!
Tweet that out. It's tweetable right there.
All right, are we
Just Karman line, no Von in it. Are you sure about that? I'll take it. Whatever.
That's too funny.
Do we get a tweet?
Probably.
Was it tweeted?
It was from Detta.
I was good. I left my phone far away so that when it went off, it didn't.
Also don't have signal.
Welcome to the cave.
Yes.
Yep.
I feel like
Dave can't drive in Canada either and not break speed limit.
No, it has kilometers on the
I was going to say I'd say every car I've seen has kilometers on the dial.
Yeah.
And actually, that is still a true statement, even if my speedometer only had kilometers on it. I hope my insurance company isn't paying attention.
No one watches this show. Don't worry. I say while hundreds of people are in the room.
I live in California. I'm driving mostly in California. I drive the speed of traffic. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a good speeding excuse, though. Officer, I thought the speedometer was in kilometers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Badger Legs, will there be a congressional investigation into the Delta IV failures to launch lately? It's not fair. Weather. I mean, that's not fair.
Well, I think Badger Legs may be asking because there's apparently a congressional investigation into SpaceX failures.
Yeah, I know.
Quote unquote.
Some of which were also weather, so they can shove it.
Some of which were.
I didn't say all.
Weather.
I mean failures as in an engine went out. Well, so what? SpaceX has said from the beginning they expect engines to go out. That's why I put 9 of them on.
That's
other minor issues.
I didn't understand that either. It's like you had mission success, but screw you, pal. But
yeah, I mean, I'd say actually, did we have a congressional investigation into the Delta IV Heavy failure that failed to put its cargo into orbit? No, there wasn't. It was an early Delta IV Heavy flight, and it failed to put it in the proper orbit. So what?
Yeah, BFD at that point.
But anyway, politics. This is why I have no intention of ever going through the process of being approved for Air Force launches. I have no interest in them. They can go. They can get down on their hands and knees and beg me to launch their satellites when they get ready. If I ever build a vehicle that large. Congress will do lots of things, and logic has nothing to do with it, and that's okay. I'm sure if Sean ever listens to this, he's going to be going, oh no.
He's doing that right now.
Yeah. Congress showing off for constituents. Yes, specific constituents, yeah. Partial successes of some clandestine launch or two.
Look, we all know it's politics. Everyone here knows it's politics.
It's all politics, yeah.
And there was no one ever looked at the situation and didn't think otherwise, right?
Goodbye, Z squared.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Are we winding down? I feel like we're winding down.
I think we are.
All right.
I think we are.
Thank you, everyone. It was an awesome show. We'll see you next week. Dada. Hey, Dada. We didn't get to see you very much. Say hi, Dada.
Hi, Dada.
Buttons, pushy things. Hi, Dada.
That was amazing. That was epic television right there.
Yes, Apollo was politics too.
That's true. That's true. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching. We'll see you in a week. Black.